I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on letters. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 4. Once we've selected grade 4, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of letters. All right. So when it comes to greeting and closing letters, or before we even look at greeting and closing letters, let's before we look at our lesson, our chapter is letters. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 4. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of letters is greeting and closing letters. All right. So when it comes to letters, right? A letter starts with a greeting and it also ends with a closing. It's the same like if you were to have a conversation with someone, right? The first thing you do is you greet the person. And then after you guys are done talking, and then before you leave, you also end it with a closing of goodbye, see you. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Till next time, and so on. But a greeting, basically, or let's say conversations, starts with a greeting and an ending. All right. And now, when it comes to letters, right? If you were asked to write a letter to someone, and we're going to continue with letters, but just think of if you were to send somebody a message. It's the same as writing, like, it's the same as the purpose of writing a letter. Because nowadays we write more of an email. So we can either write emails, WhatsApp messages, any forms of messages that is way quicker as writing a letter to our family members, our parents, our friends, and so on. So just imagine instead of me saying letters, think of if you were to send a message to someone. And I'm talking about on your phone, like maybe a WhatsApp message or an email or an SMS. So when it comes to letters, right? Or let's say conversations, I'm gonna put it like that. Then a letter or conversation or message, it starts with a greeting, and a letter or message ends with a closing. And for each one, we need to capitalize the first word and end with a comma. Because now you're going to greet somebody, comma. Do not forget to capitalize proper nouns. Remember, proper nouns are names of people, names of places. We are being specific with names of people, names of places, and so on. So, which means that names like Aunt Sue or Auntie Sue needs to be capitalized. And I'm going to switch by saying letters or a message because, like I say, nowadays we tend to write messages more on our cell phones or on our laptops by email, WhatsApp messages, DMs, and so on than an actual physical letter. And if we look and if we look at an example, right? Here we have an example. So we're going to write a letter, or let's say you're writing an email. Because nowadays emails are equivalent to writing letters, but it's just electronically, right? Because again, our emails are still formal, depending on who you're writing a letter to. Because I'm not thinking if we now say a WhatsApp message, usually WhatsApp messages goes quick. But an email, it's like more like you stick to the formality of if it's either an informal letter or a formal letter. You stick to that. right. And if we look at this example, right, it says dear and Sue. And as you can see, it starts with a capital letter D for dear, capital letter A for and Sue, because we our greeting needs to start with a capital letter, but then also proper nouns needs to be capitalized, like Aunt Sue, Uncle. All right, and then it says, I'm glad you could come to my party. And thank you for the birthday gift. I could not have asked for a better one. Every time I see it, I think of you. All right. So now, like I said, emails are equivalent to sending a message, to sending a letter, because nowadays we don't write letters. If you are still writing letters, then it means that you're just writing quick letters to your friends, but it is nothing formal. All right. If we look at, usually, like if you, like I say, if you look at letters and you're writing letters to either family members, then the conversation becomes more a bit informal than having to write a letter to either the principal or your teacher or the president or for a job, for example. All right. So once again, this is a letter written to his aunt for coming to his birthday party. So you can write thank you notes also, but remember, when it comes to letters, right? A letter has a greeting, the message, as well as an ending or closing, if you can put it like that. All right. And now, if we even look at, let's say, for example, that's the full letter, right? That he wrote to Ansu. Now we need to have a greeting. How are we going to end our lesson? All right. So we need to still think of a closing. We need to think of a goodbye type of message after we have written this to end so. But now how are we going to end off the message? If we already greeted by saying dear and Sue, we wrote down letter, then how are we going to end off our lesson? All right. So now we are going to think we need to come up with an ending together. All right. So if we were to come up with an ending, if we were to come up with an ending, what would be our ending after we just wrote a letter like this? What would be our ending? All right. So now before we go on to A plus students.ca, if we were to come up with a greeting, right, then we'll maybe say, I'm not sure if saying thank you is a greeting. We can say regards and we put the person's name. Or we can say many thanks and we put the person's name. All right. So we can maybe use greetings like regards, many thanks. Or we can just say thank you. How else can we, for example, close off our letter with the form of a greeting? All right. So here we have regards and you write your name. Many thanks, you write your name. Thank you and you write your name. So that is one of the reasons in which we can close. If you know of any other ways or words that we can use in closing or for closing or to close, then you may let us know. All right, so now we're going to A plus students.ca. Our chapter is lessons, and the lesson is greetings and closing of letters. All right. So we said that we have letters that we need to send, and nowadays we said letters are more equivalent to sending an email, sending a WhatsApp, sending any other messages that we can online, or like let's say from the phone or from the PC computer. So when we write letters, right, we need to start our letters with a like a greeting. Greeting starts with capital letter, as well as the name of the person that you're writing to is capitalized. And then it a letter also then stops or it closes with an ending. All right. And we said that if we were to look at a few ending or greetings, then we can maybe say many thanks and you write your name, regards and you write your name, best regards, you write your name, and so on. And keeping in mind that we need to use, don't forget to use not pronouns, proper nouns when you, for example, when you write your letter, and also proper nouns needs to be capitalized. Names of people, names of places, and so on needs to be capitalized. All right. So now we need to say which greeting is correct, right? Before we even go to it, look at it says, Dear Mrs. Wyatt. If we look at that greeting, right? Yes, we did say a greeting needs to start with a greeting, the person's name, and a comma. But now look at that specific word. What needs to be fixed within that sentence? Not even sentence, in the greeting. And if we were to fix that greeting, if we fix that greeting, and then it means that dear needs to be capitalized, Mrs. is correct, Wyatt is correct, followed by a comma. All right. So, dear Mrs. Wyatt, dear needs to be capitalized, Mrs. capitalized, followed by a period, and then Wyatt, the surname, followed by a comma. All right. All right. So now we need to say which closing is correct. Remember, we are writing letters, we are writing emails. Now we need to say which closing is correct. All right, so we need to say which closing is correct. So if you were, for example, to write a letter to Aunt Sue, can you tell Aunt Sue? Can you tell Aunt Sue? This is from your student Clara. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, maybe, then we can either say see you soon and you write your name. Or you can say lots of love and you write your name. But keeping in mind when you write a letter, write an email, write a message, right, and it becomes more formal or slightly, if it's informal, then it at least needs to, have a touch of formal. There needs to be a greeting, capitalized, using proper nouns. There needs to be a closing. And then, of course, our message. If the person is close to you, the letter is going to be informal. All right. So see you soon, Kevin. Lots of love. Kind regards. But that is basically our closing. Or let's say one of the closings. All right. So now let's go to our test. It says which closing is correct. Remember, you need to look at how it is written. So, which closing is correct? It says your student Clara or your student Clara. Words are either capitalized or only the first word being capitalized. Which one is correct? Option one or option two? So which one is correct? Option one or option two? All right, so we need to say which closing is correct. Is it option one, your student, or option two, your student? Look at the wording, right? Because the first word, your, is capitalized. There it shows the second word, student. The first one is capitalized, the second one is not capitalized. So we need to say which one is correct. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, some says one, some says two. Let's choose one and see. All right. So basically, the second one is correct because if you, for example, say student, remember student, you write with a lowercase, not capitalized, unless it is a name of a person. All right. Which greeting is correct? If we were to greet somebody, Dr. Lin, which greeting is correct? Option one, dear Dr. Lin, or option two, dear Dr. Lin. Which one is correct? So we need to choose the greeting, option one or option two. Which one is correct? Dear Dr. Lin. Do we say option one or option two? Which one is correct? And if we were to choose the correct option, option one or option two, then we'll go with option two. Dear Dr. Lin, because doctor needs to be capitalized because it's a title or significant title of someone. All right. Which greeting is correct? Option one or option two? Dear Grandma Jill. Or option two, Dear Grandma Jill. So now the greeting. Which one is correct? Dear Grandma Jill, option one, or Dear Grandma Jill, option two. Which one is correct? Look at the name of the person. Look at the name of the person and how it is written. Do we say, and if we were to choose the correct option, Dear Grandma will go with option one. Because as you can see, Jill is capitalized because a name of a person needs to be capitalized. All right. Yes. So Jill needs to be capitalized. Well done. Which greeting is correct? Dear Dr. Franklin, option one, or Dear Dr. Franklin, option two? We need to say which one is correct. So the greetings is it option one, Dear Dr. Frank, or option two, Dear Dr. Frank? Look at the wordings, especially the name of a person. So look at that before you make your decision. And if we were to choose the correct option or the correct greeting, remember we said look at the wording and how it is written, then yes, option one is correct because Franklin is capitalized. So now we need to choose our closing of our letter, closing of our email, closing of our message. We need to choose a closing. Which closing is correct? Is it option one, love Alex, or option two, love Alex capitalized? So is it option one, love Alex, or option two, capitalize love Alex? This is our closing, our greeting. All right. And if we were to change, like choose the closing, then option two, because remember we said that it needs to be capitalized. All right. Okay, so that is now the end of our lesson on letters. Remember, we said nowadays it is not even about the physical, actual paper lesson, but it is also us sending messages or via email. Let's say specifically emails, right? But if we, for example, write letters, there needs to be a greeting and there needs to be an ending or closing of that lesson. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade fours, for joining the class. And I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.